Hey Meganut, in this problem, you're being asked to find the cotangent of negative 240 degrees. Now, negative 240 degrees, when you look at a unit circle, you know that when you measure angles on the unit circle, you start at the positive x-axis, and if you wrap around the unit circle counterclockwise, you're finding positive angle measures. If you wrap around the unit circle clockwise, you're finding negative angle measures. So if we want negative 240 degrees, we have a couple of options. We can wrap around the unit circle clockwise until we've gone negative 240 degrees, which would be about here, because 240 degrees is about 2/3 of 360. Or another way to think about it is if we take negative 240 degrees and we add 360 degrees to it, that's going to give us a coterminal angle, which is 120 degrees. 120 degrees starts at the positive x-axis and goes around to 120. That's a counterclockwise angle measure. So these two coterminal angles will have the same measure for cotangent. So now I just need to see what that measure is. So right now we're in the second quadrant, which means that we're going to have a negative cosine value and a positive sine value. On the unit circle, this spot is right past 90 degrees, and it's the highest above our negative x-axis. So we're looking at a negative 1/2 for the x value. Sorry, this is not writing as well as I'd like it to. And a positive square root of 3 over 2. Because we're going to the left the littlest amount we can, and we're going up the most we can. So negative 1/2 and positive square root of 3 over 2. Now, remember, tangent of an angle, in this case negative 240 or positive 120, is going to be equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Cotangent is the reciprocal of that ratio. So the cotangent of negative 240 is going to equal the adjacent over the opposite. Another way to write that, because we know that tangent is the y value over the x value, cotangent is going to be the x value over the y value. So when we say x over y, we're looking at the coordinates themselves, which we wrote up here. So we're going to take the x value, which is negative 1/2, and we're going to divide it by the y value, which is square root of 3 over 2. Dividing fractions can be tricky, so we change it to a multiplication problem. So negative 1/2 times the reciprocal, which would be 2 over the square root of 3. When we multiply those together, we get negative 2 divided by 2 times the square root of 3. And I'm going to move this over a little bit so I have some more room. In the problem that you showed me, the radical has been simplified and rationalized. We know that we can simplify it because we have a 2 in the numerator and the denominator. So we get negative 1 over the square root of 3. And then to rationalize the denominator, we're going to multiply by the radical that's in the denominator on top and on the bottom. So we're multiplying by 1, square root of 3 over square root of 3, but that's going to change it so we no longer have a radical in the denominator. So we're going to get the negative square root of 3 on top, and in the denominator, the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9, and the square root of 9 is just 3. So we get the negative square root of 3 divided by 3. I hope that helps you with this problem. The big thing is just finding where the angle measure is on the unit circle, figuring out what the coordinates are there, and then finding the appropriate ratio so that you can simplify it. Good luck. I know you're going to do great.